to Deep Sleep Stories. If these stories have helped you through restless nights, please leave a review. Reviews are what help this podcast grow, reach more listeners, and stay alive. Without them, even something meaningful can slowly disappear. So if this show has brought you comfort, that small act truly helps keep it going. Now, settle in, and let's begin.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet place where your day can gently fade and your mind can soften into rest. Tonight you'll drift through a moonlit city and discover a hidden alleyway cafe where warm light and whispered magic invite you to let go. Settle yourself in as comfortably as you can. Let your shoulders drop as if they're melting away from your ears. Allow your jaw to loosen, your tongue to rest, your brow to smooth. If your hands are holding anything, tension, worry, plans, imagine placing all of it in a small bowl beside you, just for now. Take a slow breath in, as if you're sipping calm through a straw. Let it fill your chest, your ribs, your belly. Then breathe out, unhurried, like you're fogging a window with a gentle sigh. Again, breathe in and out, letting each breath become a soft tide that arrives and retreats without effort. You don't have to do anything perfectly. You don't have to concentrate. You can simply listen and let the words be like a blanket, settling over you, warm and light. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Let it wander. Let it float back when it's ready, like a leaf returning to still water. Now imagine the air around you. It's cool and clean, with the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers somewhere nearby. There's a hush in the world, the kind that comes when evening has fully arrived and the day's noise has tucked itself away. You're safe here. You're allowed to rest. And as you breathe, you begin to sense a place that is both real and dreamlike. A quiet city street, a soft drizzle that may or may not be falling, and somewhere beyond the usual paths, a narrow passage that seems to wait for the right moment to be noticed. Let your breath slow as the scene becomes clearer. The city is gentle tonight. It doesn't clamor. It doesn't demand. It simply exists, wrapped in the patient glow of lamplight. Stone sidewalks glisten as if they've been polished by 1,000 footsteps. Window panes hold small reflections, golden squares, floating in darkness, where someone inside has lit a lamp and drawn the curtains. In this city there is a traveler. He moves without urgency, hands tucked into his coat pockets, collar turned up against the cool. He isn't fleeing anything, and he isn't chasing anything either. He's simply walking, as if following the quiet pull of evening itself. His name doesn't matter. Names can be heavy, and tonight is meant to be light. He is just a traveler, and he carries only what he needs: a soft scarf, a small notebook with blank pages, and the feeling that something restful is waiting for him, somewhere he hasn't yet found. The streets offer him small comforts. A bakery has closed for the night, but the scent of cinnamon still lingers near the door, warm as memory. A bookstore window displays a few old volumes, their spines faded into gentle colors like sea glass collected over time. Somewhere in the distance, a bell chimes, not loudly, not sharply, just a mild musical sound that drifts and dissolves. The traveler walks past a row of narrow buildings that lean toward one another, like old friends sharing secrets. Above, the sky is a deep velvet shade, clouded in places, clear in others, stitched with faint stars that blink slowly as if they're growing sleepy too. He doesn't notice the alleyway at first. Most people wouldn't. It's tucked between a tailor's shop and a small gallery, half hidden by a trailing vine that clings to an iron trellis. At a glance, it looks like a service passage, the kind that leads to bins and back doors and nothing of interest. But tonight the traveler slows as he passes, because something in the air changes. It's subtle. The city's coolness softens there, as if someone has gently warmed the space with an unseen candle. The scent of rain-damp stone is joined by something else. Tea leaves, perhaps, or vanilla, or the faint floral trace of honey. He pauses. The alleyway does not call out. It doesn't shout to be seen. It simply waits, quiet and sure of itself, like a door that opens only when it's meant to. The traveler tilts his head, listening. The usual city sounds seem to fall back a little, like waves withdrawing from shore. Even his own thoughts seem to quiet, as if they've stepped to the side to let something softer pass through. He takes a step into the alley. The space narrows, the walls close enough that he could brush them with his fingertips. Bricks are dark with age, slick with a lingering sheen of moisture. A few lanterns hang from iron hooks overhead, their glass panes fogged slightly, their flames steady and calm. They cast circles of light that overlap like gentle halos. The further he goes, the more the alleyway changes. Not dramatically, not in a way that would alarm him. It simply becomes kinder. The air grows warmer, the shadows grow softer, and underfoot the stone shifts into smooth, worn cobbles that feel like they've been walked on for centuries by unhurried feet. A quiet sound reaches him, a low murmur like distant conversation, or perhaps the hush of pages turning. It's comforting, familiar, even if he can't place it. He continues. Halfway down the alley, he notices the little details that make his chest loosen. A ceramic pot on a windowsill holds a plant with thick, glossy leaves, beaded with water. A string of small paper charms hangs near a doorway, each charm painted with delicate shapes. Moons, teacups, sleeping cats, curled into commas. There is a sense here that the world is slower. At the end of the alley, the traveler finds a door. It is wooden, arched at the top, with a small stained glass window set into it. The glass isn't bright or loud. Its colors are muted. Soft amber, dusky green, a sleepy blue. Light glows through from the other side, warm and inviting, like a hearth behind a curtain. There's no sign, no name. Only a small brass bell beside the frame, and beneath it, a doormat woven from thick fibers, clean and welcoming. On the mat, stitched in careful thread, are words so simple they feel like a lullaby. Come in. The traveler doesn't hesitate. Or rather, if he does, it's only the briefest pause, long enough to breathe in, long enough to feel that he is safe. Then he opens the door and steps inside. Warmth meets him first, like a shawl placed gently over his shoulders. The air smells of steeped tea and baked bread, and something faintly sweet like orange peel. The lighting is soft, lamps with frosted shades, candles nestled in glass cups, strings of tiny lights draped along wooden beams overhead. The cafe is larger than it seemed it could be from the alley. Not impossibly so, just pleasantly, like a cozy room that knows how to make space for comfort. There are tables scattered throughout, small and round, each with a candle and a tiny vase of dried flowers. Bookshelves line one wall, filled with volumes of all sizes, some new, some very old, their pages edges like pale feathers. A fireplace crackles quietly in the corner, where a kettle sits on a small iron stand, releasing the occasional whisper of steam. Music is present, but only barely. A slow melody, perhaps from a small instrument drifting like mist. It doesn't demand attention, it simply makes the silence softer. A few patrons sit in gentle stillness. Someone reads with a cup cradled between both hands. Someone else stares into the flame of a candle as if watching thoughts melt. A pair of friends lean close, speaking in quiet voices that never rise above a soothing murmur. And then there is the counter. It's made of polished wood, smooth and honey-colored, with a glass case that holds pastries. Small buns, delicate tarts, crescent-shaped cookies dusted with sugar like fresh snow. Behind the counter, shelves display jars of tea leaves and herbs, each labeled with careful handwriting. Some labels are familiar: mint, chamomile, lavender. Others are not, but they sound like poems. Moonflower hush, misty orchard, evening ember. The traveler takes a few steps forward, the floorboards creaking softly beneath his boots. A person stands behind the counter. They have the calm presence of someone who has all the time in the world. Their hair is tied back, their sleeves rolled to the elbow, their hands moving with slow, practiced ease as they wipe a cup, arrange a plate, straighten a small stack of napkins. When they look up, their eyes are kind. No surprise, no suspicion. Only a quiet welcome, as if they've been expecting him. Not specifically, but as part of the night's gentle rhythm. The traveler approaches, and the person behind the counter smiles in a way that seems to take the weight from his bones. "Good evening," they say, voice low and soothing. "You've found your way in." The traveler nods, suddenly aware of how tired he is, not in a sharp, unpleasant way, but in the way a blanket feels heavy after a long day. He doesn't need to explain anything. He doesn't need to justify his presence. The cafe makes room for him without questions. "I didn't know this place was here," he says softly. "It doesn't always want to be found," the person replies, "but when someone needs it..." The alley opens. "Would you like something warm?" The traveler glances at the menu board behind the counter, written in white chalk on a slate. The options are many, but none feel overwhelming. Each one seems designed to soothe. There are teas that promise calm, soups that promise comfort, small plates of simple food that promise steadiness. I think tea, the traveler says. The person nods as if that's the most natural choice in the world. Something to quiet the mind? Or something to soften the heart? They ask. The traveler considers. He thinks of the way the city outside felt large and busy, even in its nighttime hush. He thinks of his thoughts, which have been running like a stream for so long that he's forgotten what stillness feels like. Both, he admits, almost with a small laugh. The person smiles again, as though they understand. Then I'll bring you something gentle, they say. Take any seat you like. The traveler turns, looking around. The table near the fireplace seems inviting, but so does a small nook by the bookshelf where a plush chair sits, draped with a knitted blanket. There's also a window seat beneath a wide pane of glass where rain, or perhaps simply the shine of evening, glitters outside. He chooses the nook by the bookshelf. The chair welcomes him in a way that feels almost alive, cushioned soft but supportive. He sets his notebook on the table, though he doesn't open it. Tonight is not for writing, not for doing. Tonight is for resting. The blanket is there, folded neatly. Without thinking too much, he lifts it and drapes it over his lap. It's warm, smelling faintly of clean wool and something herbal, like dried lavender tucked into a drawer. He exhales, long and slow. On the shelf beside him, books wait quietly. Titles gleam in the lamplight. Some are in languages he recognizes, some are not. One spine is embossed with a pattern of stars. Another is wrapped in plain cloth, tied with ribbon. There is a comfort in their presence, as if each one is a sleeping thought, waiting but never demanding. From the corner of his eye, he notices movement. A cat strolls through the cafe, as if it belongs there completely. Its fur is dark and soft, with a sheen like midnight, and its eyes are a tranquil gold. It moves without hurry, tail lifted in a gentle curve. It pauses near a table where a patron reads, receives a slow stroke along its back, then continues on. The cat approaches the traveler's nook and stops beside his chair. It looks up at him, blinking once, slowly, as if offering a greeting that requires no words. The traveler smiles, a small quiet curve of the mouth. He reaches down, letting his hand hover first, giving the cat space to choose. The cat leans into his palm, warm and solid and calm. His fingers move gently through the fur. The act is simple, but it does something inside him. It smooths a crease he didn't realize he'd been holding. It brings him into the moment, into the soft warmth of the cafe, into the steady rhythm of breath and purr. The cat jumps lightly into the empty space of the chair beside his, curls into a neat circle, and closes its eyes, as if to say, "This is what we do here." The the traveler watches the rise and fall of the cat's breathing, slow and even. It's strangely mesmerizing, like watching a candle flame sway gently without ever going out. From the counter, the person who works here begins preparing his tea. He can't hear every sound, but he notices the soothing ones, the soft clink of ceramic, the whisper of leaves poured into a pot, the gentle pour of hot water. Steam rises, carrying warmth through the air. He sinks deeper into the chair. Time becomes different here, not lost, not confusing, just softer, less sharp around the edges. Outside clocks may still tick and schedules may still exist, but inside this cafe, the only true measure is comfort. The traveler's gaze drifts to the window. Beyond the glass, the alleyway is visible, but it looks slightly different from inside. The lantern light out there seems dreamier, as if filtered through a veil. The cobbles shimmer like river stones. The vine that hangs at the entrance sways gently, even though there is no wind. He feels, in a quiet way, as though he has stepped into a pocket of night designed for rest. Soon, footsteps approach. The person from behind the counter arrives with a tray. On it sits a teapot painted with tiny pale flowers. A cup rests beside it, steam curling from its mouth. A small plate holds a pastry, something round and golden, with a delicate swirl of sugar on top. They set the tray down with careful slowness, like they are placing a gift. Here you are, they say, a blend we call soft lantern. It's meant to help thoughts dim the way street lights dim when morning comes. The traveler lifts the cup with both hands. The ceramic is warm, almost soothing just to hold. He brings it close and inhales. The scent is gentle, chamomile and vanilla perhaps, and something faintly citrusy. There's a hint of spice, but not sharp. More like the memory of cinnamon, the warmth of clove without its bite. He takes a sip. The tea is smooth and mild, spreading warmth through his mouth, down his throat, into his chest. It feels like a slow exhale made liquid. It feels like being told, without words, that it's safe to stop striving. He closes his eyes for a moment and lets the warmth settle. The person behind the counter doesn't linger. They don't watch him too closely. They simply nod, as if to say, "Rest now," and drift back toward their work with quiet footsteps. The traveler remains in his nook, sipping slowly, letting each sip be a small ritual. Around him, the cafe continues its gentle life. Someone turns a page. The fireplace gives a soft crackle. A kettle sighs. The cat beside him shifts in its sleep, tail flicking once, then stilling again. In the corner near the shelves, there's a small table with a jar of folded papers. A sign beside it reads, in elegant handwriting, "If you like, leave a worry here. If you like, take a wish." The traveler reads the sign, and something in his chest loosens again. He stands, moving slowly, so as not to disturb the sleeping cat too much. The cat opens one eye, regards him with calm acceptance, then closes it again. The traveler walks toward the little table. The jar is filled with papers, each folded neatly. The cafe's light makes the glass glow softly. He can imagine what's inside. Worries written down, wishes offered into the quiet. A small stack of blank paper sits beside the jar, along with a pen. The traveler picks up the pen. It's smooth, weighty, comfortable in his hand. He doesn't rush. He lets the tip hover above the paper, and he notices how his body feels, how the warmth of tea has softened his shoulders, how the quiet of the cafe has slowed his heartbeat. He writes something small, not a long list, not a dramatic confession, just a simple worry made gentle by being placed into words. The worry looks less threatening on the page, like a shadow that becomes smaller when you hold it up to lamplight. He folds the paper carefully, as if tucking it into bed. Then he drops it into the jar. It makes a soft sound when it lands, like a leaf settling onto a pile. He exhales. Then on impulse, he reaches into the jar and pulls out a folded paper of his own. He turns it in his fingers before opening it, as if honoring the quiet intimacy of this exchange. When he unfolds it, the handwriting inside is unfamiliar, but the words are simple. May your rest be deep. May your dreams be kind. The traveler's throat tightens slightly, not with sadness, but with a quiet tenderness that feels like relief. He reads the words again, letting them sink in. Then he folds the paper and slips it into his pocket, as though carrying a small lantern for later. He returns to his chair. The cat has shifted to fill more of the empty space on the neighboring seat, stretched out like a ribbon of dark silk. The traveler smiles to himself and settles back into the warmth. He pours another small cup of tea. The pastry on the plate is still warm. He breaks off a piece with his fingers. It's soft inside, lightly sweet, with a crisp edge that flakes delicately. It tastes like comfort, like something made not to impress, but to soothe. He eats slowly, savoring. His mind begins to drift, not into worry, but into wandering imagery. The cafe seems to encourage that kind of gentle daydreaming, the kind that leads towards sleep. The traveler's eyes move across the room again, and he notices more details. Above the fireplace, a framed painting shows an alleyway, much like the one outside. Lanterns glowing, cobbles shining, vines trailing like green silk. But in the painting, a faint, misty figure walks the alley carrying a lantern shaped like a teacup. On a shelf nearby, tiny figurines stand in a row. Foxes and owls and small bears, each carved from pale wood, each with a serene expression. They look like guardians of quiet. Near the counter, there's a chalkboard with a small message written beneath the menu. Here, you may be unhurried. Here, you may be soft. The traveler reads it and feels as if the words are meant for him. He leans back, letting the chair support him fully. The person behind the counter moves through their tasks like a slow dance, wiping a table, adjusting a candle, refilling a jar of tea leaves. Their movements are steady and unhurried, and watching them is soothing, like watching waves roll in on a calm shore. At some point, the traveler notices that the cafe's sounds are becoming even softer. The music is quieter, as if it too is yawning. The patrons seem to sink deeper into their own comfort. Someone rests their head lightly against a hand, eyes half closed. Another patron wraps themselves in a scarf and smiles, faintly at nothing in particular. The traveler sips the last of his tea, and warmth spreads through him like a slow, pleasant tide. He feels, without thinking it, that this place knows what to do with tiredness. It doesn't fight it. It doesn't push it away. It welcomes it the way a bed welcomes the body at the end of the day. The cat beside him stretches, then settles again, purring quietly. The sound is low and steady, like a gentle engine designed to carry someone into sleep. The traveler's eyelids grow heavier. He opens his notebook for a moment, just to touch the paper. The blank pages feel inviting, but he doesn't need to fill them. Tonight, the emptiness is not lack. It is space. It is permission. He closes the notebook and rests his hands over it. Fingers relaxed. His breathing slows, matching the cafe's rhythm. In the fireplace, flames move lazily, glowing orange and gold. The light they cast dances across the ceiling beams, slow enough to follow without effort. Outside, the alleyway remains quiet, and beyond that, the city continues its sleepier pace. But inside the cafe, everything feels like it is drifting towards stillness together. The person behind the counter comes over once more, not intruding, just gently appearing at the edge of the traveler's nook. Their voice is softer now, as if the cafe itself is speaking through them. "You can stay as long as you like," they say. "There's no hurry here." The traveler nods, eyes half-lidded. "Thank you," he murmurs. The person smiles, and in that smile there is something almost magical, something that says, "You are safe, you are welcome, you can rest." They move away again, leaving the traveler wrapped in quiet. His body feels heavier in the best way, like sinking into warm sand. Thoughts drift by like clouds, slow and pale, not catching on anything sharp. Tucked in, finally still. He imagines the tucked in, finally still. He imagines the worries staying there, contained, quieted by the warmth of the cafe. He imagines the wishes floating out gently like lantern light spreading through darkness. He glances at the cat still asleep, paws tucked in. The sight is deeply calming, as if it gives his nervous system permission to do the same. The traveler's chin dips slightly. His breathing deepens. In this place it feels easy to let go, easy to release the day's tight grip, easy to allow the soft dark to come closer, not frightening but comforting. The cafe's lights seem a little dimmer now, though nothing has changed suddenly. It's more like the room is settling, the way a house settles into night. The traveler's eyes close for a moment. When he opens them again, the fireplace is still glowing, the candles still burning steadily, the patrons still wrapped in calm. Everything is the same, and yet he feels further away from wakefulness, as if he's drifting out into a gentle sea. The person behind the counter hums quietly as they move, a sound so soft it could be imagined. The melody wraps around the room like a ribbon, tying everything together in comfort. The traveler lets his eyes close again, longer this time. He can still sense the cafe even with his eyes shut. The warmth, the hush, the faint aroma of tea. He can still hear the purr beside him and the gentle crackle of the fire. His muscles release one by one, shoulders soften, hands unclench. The space behind his eyes becomes dark and velvety, and images drift there like slow-moving lanterns. He imagines the hidden alleyway outside, the lanterns glowing, the cobbles shining. He imagines the vines swaying gently. He imagines the door with its stained glass window, waiting quietly for the next tired traveler who needs warmth. And he knows, in a dreamy way, that the cafe will be there when it's needed, not demanding, not calling out, simply waiting, like a soft light left on in the night. The traveler's breathing is slow now, in and out, in and out. Each exhale feels like sinking deeper into the chair, into the blanket, into safety. The room continues its quiet existence around him, but it no longer feels separate. It feels like it's holding him, the way night holds the world, the way darkness holds the stars. The cat shifts once, settling closer, and the traveler's hand rests near the warmth of its fur. He doesn't need to move. He doesn't need to respond. He can simply be. The cafe's sounds become more distant, as if they are moving farther away on a slow current. The crackle of fire becomes a soft whisper. The turning of pages becomes a faint hush. The music becomes barely there, like a lullaby remembered. The traveler's thoughts thin out, spacing themselves farther apart, until they are more like gentle sensations than words. Warmth, soft light, steady breath, safe quiet, and then even those fade. The cafe remains, but it becomes part of the dream, blending into the comforting dark behind closed eyelids. The traveler sleeps deeply and gently, held by a place that asks nothing of him. And as you listen, you can let yourself do the same. Let your own breathing be slow and easy. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your face be soft. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. Nothing you need to plan. You can place all of it aside, like a folded paper left in a jar, safe until morning. The hidden Alleyway Café glows quietly, somewhere in the soft folds of imagination. Lanterns steady, warmth waiting, and you can drift toward it without effort, as if sleep itself is guiding you down that gentle passage. Your mind can loosen, your body can rest, the night can hold you. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.